Good morning, Propagate and Radiate. Welcome to the free amateur radio orientation webinar. First of all, happy Valentine's Day. I know some of you are a little busy today, but you still chose to spend some of your time to attend today's webinar. By the way, I'm Kristine Bendo and I will be your moderator for today. This is actually our first webinar this year, and this is the part one of a three-part series. It's about the fundamentals of amateur radio and preparation to Class C amateur radio examination. We highly encourage everyone to listen attentively to the speakers because later after the presentations, we are going to have a mock exam, which will be which will be the prerequisite for your certificates. So, in order to get the certificates, you should be able to pass the mock exam. So I have here the mechanics. Um, hang on for a second. Okay, so please bear with me for a moment. Make sure that you have a stable internet connection, of course, and a link will be flashed before the start of the program. So register to receive a certificate once you completed the webinar and take the mock exam for elements 2, 3, and 4. Make yourself comfortable in listening and taking notes for your review. In case that you have any questions, reserve those during our lecture proper. You may send them by leaving a comment on our Facebook or YouTube live feed. And after the program, a link will be flashed on the screen. This will redirect you to the feedback and mock exam form. To be qualified for having the certificate in this webinar, you must be able to get at least a score of 18 out of 25 for the elements 2, 3, and 4. This is the same number of items in the exam provided by the NTC. Today, you will be taking element 2, and you may only take the exam once. So I hope that's clear for the mechanics. If you have questions, you may ask them later, okay? All right, so I don't want to take much of your time. To start off, our opening remarks will come from the Chief Technology Officer of Radio Engineering Circle. He is a professional electronics engineer and the manager of wireless access planning at Globe Telecom. Let's all welcome Engineer Jason Bonin Aldeza, call sign for India Bravo Oscar Nancy.
Good morning, students, professionals, and amateur radio enthusiasts. We, the Radio Engineering Circle, are excited to welcome you to our first online webinar this year called Propagate and Radiate. We are hoping that this seminar will give you the basic understanding of amateur radio and the theories behind it. This is aligned with our purpose to gather and educate co-radio enthusiasts which together we can establish, operate, and maintain a non-profit research-based amateur radio club in the Philippines. REC aims to serve the public as a voluntary non-commercial communication service. Today, we are going to conduct the first of the three-part seminar regarding the fundamentals of amateur radio. The remaining two sessions are scheduled to the next remaining Sundays of February. See you also there. On behalf of REC, we would like to express our gratitude to our respected speakers whom allotted their precious time to impart knowledge to our participants. You are truly a blessing and we thank you for that. To the effort of our President, Engineer Patrick Hulipas, and the volunteer officers and members of this organization, I commend you for all the hard work to create this event. Kudos. To our participants, we are overwhelmed that you took interest to attend this exciting seminar. Since our establishment way back 2016, we organized a series of face-to-face seminars and we went to some schools in Cagayan, Taguig, Maragondon, and Batangas to share various lectures in amateur radio and basic knowledge in radio engineering. Despite the pandemic, our team made it possible to continue our vocation and mission by using online technology. Again, we are very much grateful to our attendees because you have all given your time and effort to become part of our growing family. Together, we can truly propagate and radiate. Thank you and be safe.
Thank you very much, Sir Bonin, for the very informative and encouraging welcome remarks. Okay, so I hope everyone's ready because our first speaker is about to start. He is an electronics engineer and a special science teacher one at Pasig City Science High School. Let's all welcome Engineer Jaddie K. Lorzano, call sign 4 India 1 Juliet Alpha Delta. Hi, Sir Jaddie.
Good morning, Ma'am Kristine, and good morning sa mga attendees natin. Narinig ba ako?
Yes, sir, very clear.
Okay. And ayun, welcome sa ating mga attendees today. This is the first webinar by Radio Engineering Circle this 2021, and we're hoping that with this webinar, we will be able to help you in passing the Element 2 and the Class C examination of amateur radio operator. Ayan. Thank you. So, and so the element 2, which is just one of the three examination for the Class C operator, is all about introduction to amateur radio and radio laws and regulation. Next. So, and again, I am Jaddie Lorzano, and then later, you will meet Tito Lawrence Atanacio, which is the District 1 Manager and Philippine Amateur Radio Association Incorporated. He is also the Secretary General and the Director of Ham Radio Emergency Communications Group Incorporated. Next. Ayan. So aside from us, there are a lot of ham radio enthusiasts who na notable personalities. Like for example, here is Delta Uniform 1, Juliet Mike Gold, which is Jose Marie Gonzalez, a former congressman of San Juan City, also an artist and a former para-president. Next. Delta Uniform 1, Papa India Papa, which is also known as Tirso Cruz III, also an artist. Next. And also the Senate President of the Republic of the Philippines, also an artist and a host, Senator Vicente Tito Soto III, also known having the call sign Delta Uniform 1, Victor Sierra Tango, and the President of Indonesia, Yankee Delta 2, Juliet Kilo Whiskey with the general class license. Also, his Vice President Yusuf Kala is also an amateur radio operator with the call sign of Yankee Charlie 8, Hotel Yankee Kilo. Ayan. Next. So, kung makikita nyo, napakaraming mga notable personalities who engages in amateur radio. So, I hope that in the seminar, we will know more ano bang ginagawa in amateur radio. So, bakit meron tayong seminar? Because it is mandated by the law. And every individual should take an amateur radio examination. So, you must remember this one. The reference is National Telecommunications Commission Memorandum Circular 6797. So, that is the law requiring us to take examination. It is for us to clearly understand what amateur radio is all about, because the having the license is a privilege that is given to us, because not everyone cannot use the amateur radio frequency. Next. Amateur radio is also known as ham radio. So, una siyang ginamit in United States during the opening decade of the 20th century. For example, in 1909, Robert A. Morton reported overhearing an amateur radio transmission which is included the comment, "Say, do you know the fellow who is putting up a news station out your way? I think he's a ham." Okay, so ang tawag sa atin, aside from amateur radio operator, is also a ham. And it was started by Guglielmo Marconi nung na-discover niya yung pagta-transmit through wireless means. And in the Philippines, it was introduced by the Americans. Next po. So, amateur radio is a hobby, okay? We cannot use it for a commercial purpose. Merong separate na frequency allocation for commercial purpose. So, amateur came from the Italian word amatore, which is for the love. Because definitely, those who engage in amateur radio practices amateur radio out of their love of using the radio. So hams are friendly person who love to teach and disseminate hobby to friends and young people. And like us, Radio Engineering Circle, we commit para i-share kung ano yung amateur radio sa iba't ibang tao without asking for any payment because that is what being an amateur radio all about. So, ano ba mga ginagawa in amateur radio? Naparaming activities na pwede. Hindi lang siya para sa emergency, hindi lang siya para sa uh, personal use, etc. So, the first one here is the DXing or awards hunting. DX means distance communication. So, in this activity, the goal of the amateur radio operators is to make contact with different stations maybe here in the Philippines or even outside the Philippines. So, merong mga DX contest na Philippines lang. Merong DX contest na through HF or high frequency na pang worldwide. Okay? So, kung makikita nyo dyan sa picture na yan, nandiyan kami that was last 2017 in Mindoro. So, what we did there is that we had an IOTA or island on the air. And we made contact sa iba't ibang bansa like sa Japan, Indonesia, and China, etc. So, ayun, yun yung mga purpose and it's one of the hobby of the of the hams. Ayan. So, next. So, aside from DXing or awards hunting, there's also emergency and other volunteer services. So, kapag may mga problema sa communication dahil sa mga bagyo, lindol, or etc., it is more likely that maapektuhan yung mga telecommunication services natin. And paano tayo makakapag-communicate? Syempre, dun tayo sa pinaka-basic, which is amateur radio. So, it is really important for us to be a licensed amateur radio operator for us to use these frequencies during this time of operation. And next, technical experimenting and kit building. So amateur radio also encourages people to use the amateur radio in experimenting, especially in wireless technology. So ito yung nakakatulong para mag-develop palalo ng technology in transmitting messages wirelessly. Ayan. It's one of the hobby ng mga amateurista and ayan, as you can see there, sometimes we design antenna na low cost, 'di ba? O kaya naman we design a station na paano ba makakapag-create ng station na sobrang mura lang and madaling ma-set up especially when there are emergencies. So, ayan. Next. Also, there are contests. We are also contesting. So, contesting, we are engaging in contest. So, ito yung tinatawag dating radio sport. So, syempre, para somehow naman, di ba, parang leisure time ng mga amateurista, In contest, ang ginagawa nito usually is paramihan ng makokontakt na mga stations. So, syempre dito nila finiflex yung kung hanggang saan ba yung mga naaabot ng mga antena nila, hanggang sa gaano ba kaganda yung location nila and gaano kaganda yung reception nila, etc. So, doon nare-recognize talaga yung mga um, talagang mga amateurista na talagang they they exert effort, 'di ba? In the field of amateur radio. Next, okay, talking to astronauts. So also through amateur radio, it is possible for us to contact the space stations because they also have an amateur radio equipments there, and meron tayong mga licensed amateur radio astronauts. And hams also can use satellites as repeaters in the sky to make contacts with other Earth stations over great distances. So, yung kunyari, meron tayong VHF antenna, ayan, we may use it and pwede tayong makapag-propagate ng mas malayo using this space satellites kasi meron siyang mga repeater. So, kahit yung abot ng antenna natin is limited lang through those amateur satellites. Pwede niyang ibato yun in greater distances sa mas malayo. And ayan, that's the help of so amateur radio ay meron ding satellites. Ayan, thank you. Next. So also, syempre we are developing the technology. Meron na rin tayong digital communication. So you may connect a computer to your radio and install some software and you can be communicating digitally over the air. Some of these digital modes can be more effective in marginal transmission conditions and some even support error-free transmission using methods of forward error correction. So hindi na lang tayo gumagamit ng mga handheld lang through advanced technologies na incorporate na natin yung mga computer natin in transmitting in the amateur radio frequency. Next. Ayan. Also, it may be used for slow scan television. Ginagawa dito, yung data from images, it is transported and modulated using the amateur radio frequency. And ayan, yung makaka-receive niya, once they use the specialized software for that, mare-receive nila yung pictures. Okay? Yung data from amateur radio frequency, i-demodulate niya and it will give a result of a picture. So ayan, through slow scan television. Satellite communication. As I said a while ago, merong mga satellites that are equipped with amateur radio uh, repeaters. So amateur radio satellites use specially allocated frequencies to facilitate communication between amateur radio stations. These satellites can be used for free by licensed amateur radio operators for voice and data communications. So take note, we can use them for free. But as long as we are licensed amateur radio operators. Currently, satellite in orbit act as repeaters, linear transponders, or store and forward digital relay. So, basically, ang purpose talaga niya is mas palawakin pa yung reach natin even though we are using an antenna na limited lang yung maaabot. Next. And also, we use amateur radio through Morse code or continuous wave. So, itong Morse code, kumbaga ancient na way na ng pagtatransmit ng wireless, but still, it is practiced until now. And Morse code is the original digital mode. It's a method of transmitting text as a series of on-off tones that can be directly understood by a skilled listener. The code consists of sequences of short and long signals called dits and das, which represents all 26 Roman letter as well as numbers punctuations, and prose signs. Many consider it to be the language of amateur radio. So, ayun, kung actually isa sa mga sikat pero unaware yung mga tao na example pala siya um, ng Morse code is yung sa usual na text tone sa Nokia, 'di ba? Yung tututut tutut tututut. Okay. So, kung makikita nyo doon, meron siyang dits and da. Yung da yung mahabang part. And yung Morse code na yon, ang ibig sabihin niya ay SMS. SMS. So, dahil uh, yung nag-create nun is also an amateur radio hobbyist. So, yan. Ginagamit yung Morse code dahil uh, hindi siya basta-basta na de-decode ng mga normal na tao. So, it's a way to encrypt a message. Ayan. Next. So, there are also policies governing the use of amateur frequency. Since radio frequency is a limited resources, dapat yung mga gumagamit nito ay nagfa-follow ng mga rules and regulation. So, ito yung mga dapat yung tandaan kasi yung mga act number dito is lumalabas sa examination. So, the first one is the act number 3846, an act providing for the regulation of public and radio communications in the Philippines and other purposes, which is approved by 11th of November 1931. So, tandaan niyo yung mga numbers and dates. And here are the amendments. So, noong 1938, there was the Commonwealth Act number 365, approved 23 August 1938. Also, by 1940, merong Commonwealth Act number 571, approved by 7th of June 1940. And the Republic Act number 584, approved by 18 September 1950. Ayan. Next. Okay. And here are other amateur radio regulations. So you need to remember this one also. Ministry Circular number 87174, which is the revised amateur radio regulations. Memorandum Circular number 020387, which is the implementation of the revised amateur regulations. And lastly, Memorandum Circular number 0308-2012, another revised amateur radio regulations. Next. Ayan. So, sino nga ba yung nag-regulate in the use of amateur radio? Definitely, it is the National Telecommunications Commission, the sole body that exercises jurisdiction over the supervision, adjudication, and control over all telecommunication services. And one of the telecommunication services that is available is amateur radio communication. So sila yung nagbibigay ng mga permits, sila yung nagbibigay ng mga license for us to use radio frequencies. And isa sa mga radio frequency that they offer is amateur radio. Next. Okay, another agency naman is the International Telecommunication Union. Dati siyang International Telegraph Union. It is a specialized agency of the United Nations. So definitely, ito yung NTC ng buong mundo. Okay? So sila yung responsible sa pag-address ng mga issue na related sa paggamit ng communication technology. So it is the oldest global international organization. And remember this one, okay? Ang Philippines is under ITU Region 3. Okay? So, ang Pilipinas nasa ITU Region 3. Don't forget that one. Next. The definition of terms. Amateur radio communications. So, telecommunication by means is done by means of radio waves conducted by among duly authorized amateurs on a non-commercial basis. So, as you can see, highlighted dyan na ang gumagamit ng amateur radio communications are only those duly authorized amateurs or the licensed amateur radio operators. For what? For non-commercial basis. So, hindi natin to pwede gamitin for business purposes, etc. Amateur radio service. A radio communication service for the purpose of self-training, intercommunication, and technical investigation carried out by amateurs. So, it is used for personal use. Pwede natin gamitin. Kung gusto nating mag-practice paano mag-transmit in using radio communications technology, or if we want to investigate, or ang ibig sabihin dito is yung pag-experiment in using of the radio communications technology. Next. Amateur satellite service, a radio communication service using space stations on Earth satellites. So it is obvious naman from the word itself, amateur satellite service. Amateur radio station license. This is the license or written authority to own and operate amateur radio issued to a qualified person who has passed an amateur examination. So, ito yung i-apply natin sa NTC. Amateur Radio Station License or ARSL. Amateur Fixed Station. Ito naman yung iba't ibang category ng station. The first one is the amateur fixed station. From the word itself, this station is not moving. Usually, it is installed in a specified and fixed location. So, ito yung mga binubuo nating station sa mga bahay or sa kung ano mang fixed na lugar. Next. Siyempre, kung meron tayong fixed, meron din tayong moving. And the first one is yung amateur mobile station. So, kaya siya natawag na mobile because take note, it is installed on board a vehicle or vessel. So, dapat nasa sasakyan siya or any vessel. And it is intended to be used while in motion or during halts at unspecified points. So, ito yung ginagamit na station natin kapag nandun tayo sa mga application na kailangan gumagalaw tayo yung location. Next. Amateur portable station. Ito naman yung kayang nating dalhin kahit saan. So usually ito yung mga handheld. And take note conveniently be moved about from one place to another or personally carried. So ayan, bukod sa mga handheld radios, meron tayong mga portable radios na mas mataas yung power. Ayan. Na kaya nating dalhin, kaya nating ilipat-lipat. So that's amateur portable station. Next. Repeater station. It is an unmanned fixed station. So from the word itself, repeater, nire-repeat niya. Okay, yung nare-receive niya na signal, binabato niya ulit, re-retransmit niya ulit in the same signal on another frequency. So, bakit natin ginagawa to? Since limited lang yung layo or reach ng ating mga antennas, for us to have a greater reach, we use repeater para mas lumayo yung coverage natin, mas makakapag-transmit tayo sa mas malaking area. Next. Ayan. Radio amateur operator or ham. So, syempre, tayo yun or kayo yun as aspiring ham, a person interested in radio technique solely with the personal aim to operate an amateur station without pecuniary interest. Okay, so remember, hindi natin siya pwedeng pagkakitaan because this is a hobby. This is for emergency purpose. This is not for commercial purpose. Trustee. Ito naman yung tawag sa mga amateur radio. Okay, amateur radio class A license operator for at least 5 years, which is duly appointed by a club or association to supervise and control. So kumbaga, ito yung mga senior natin. Pero kumbaga, bawat club, meron talagang nakatalaga na trustee. And isa sa mga requirement niya, Class A operator and 5 years na siya na Class A. Ayan. Next. Club station license issued in favor of a club, society, or association that has at least 25 licensed amateur operators and designated trustee. So remember that one, dapat merong 25 na license na member in a club and a trustee for a club to be given a club station license. So ito yung for example, sa amin merong Delta Zulu 1 Papa Uniform Papa for PUP Radio Engineering Circle, and also yung sa Radio Engineering Circle may sarili ring club station license. Next. So, ayan. Let's have a checkpoint. So, what is the term for any transmission, emission, and reception of signs, writings, images, and sounds, or intelligence of any nature by wire, radio, optical, or other electromagnetic systems? Ayan. Pwede kayo mag-comment sa ating Facebook Live or YouTube. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Ayan. Sige. So, what's the answer? Okay. The answer is letter A, telecommunication. Okay. Next. So, telecommunication po siya. Next question, what is the government agency which grants permits for the use of radio frequencies for wireless, telephone, and telegraph systems and radio communication systems, including amateur radio stations and radio television broadcasting systems? So, is it the letter A, letter B, Commission on Information and Communications Technology, letter C, Department of National Defense, or letter D, National Telecommunications Commission? Ayan. So, alin kaya dyan? POTC, CICT, or NTC? And the answer is hindi po DOTC, it's National Telecommunications Commission. Ayan. Letter D. Ayan. And the next one, classes of amateur privileges and technical regulations. So, in amateur radio, meron tayong 4 na classes. Class A, Class B, Class C, and Class D. So, ako po, I'm in the general class. I'm a Class B radio operator. Kayo po, once you were able to pass the exam, you will be a Class C or technician class. So, bawat amateur class, meron siya mga kanya-kanyang privileges and we will learn more about it. So, next. Ayan. So, let's have the frequency band allocation. Ito yung mga frequencies allotted for amateur radio. So, meron tayong 70 centimeter, 2 meter, 6 meter, 10 meter, 15 meter, 20 meter, 30 meter, 40 meter, 80 meter, and 160 centimeter. So, si 70 centimeter, meron siyang 420 to 450 megahertz. Si 2 meter, 144 to 146 megahertz. 6 meters ay 50 to 54 megahertz. Si 10 naman ay 20 to 29.7 megahertz. 15 meter is 21 to 21.2 14.450 megahertz. Si 20 meter ay 14 to 14.350 megahertz. Si 30 ay 10.1 to 10.150 megahertz. Hanggang sa 160 meters na may 1.8 to 2.00 megahertz. So actually, may way naman para makuha nyo kung ano yung tamang sagot yan. In case na makalimutan nyo, you may use your calculator. Pwede nyo dalhin yung calculator nyo para makompute yan. And yung lecture regarding sa kung paano na-compute ba yung from band to frequency, itatakal sa element 3. Okay? So the reference is the NTC Memorandum Circular Number 0206-2019. And next. So ayan, frequency ranges that can be used by amateurs in the Philippines. So meron tayong 40 meter HF from 7 to 7.3. Meron din tayong 15 meter, another HF band, 21 to 21.450 megahertz. 2 meter, ito yung usually na ginagamit natin. It is a VHF band from 144 to 146 megahertz. And 70 centimeter UHF from 420 to 450 megahertz. And remember this one, it's from the NTC Memorandum Circular Number 0206-2019. So ito na yung updated. Next. Amateur station power output. So ito na yung mga privileges natin. So si Class D, which is yung lowest class, hindi siya allowed na mag-transmit using high frequency or HF. But also for the UHF. Pero allowed siya na mag-transmit sa VHF by 50 watts for fixed station, 10 watts for mobile or portable station. Ayan. So tandaan nyo, Class D, ang pwede lang sa kanya VHF, 50 watts for fixed station, 10 watts for mobile or portable station. Si Class C naman, hanggang Class A, wala namang prohibition pagdating sa VHF and UHF. Nagkakaiba lang sila dito sa HF. So si Class C, in HF, 100 watts on continuous wave or sa Morse code, 200 watts on single sideband SC. Okay? Suppressed carrier. Sa Class B naman, 500 watts on CW, 1 kilowatts on SSB-SC or single sideband suppressed carrier. Class A naman is 1 kilowatt on CW, 2 kilowatts on SSB-SC. So, madali lang naman siya tandaan. Pag Class C, 100 sa Morse code, pag Class C, 100, 500 sa Class B, 1 kilowatt sa Class A. Kapag sa Class C sa SSB-SC naman, 200 watts or times 2 lang nung Morse code. Okay? Ita times 2 nyo lang yung Morse code para makuha nyo yung SSBSC. So, kunyari, sa Class A, alam nyo na 1 kilowatt sa Morse code. Para sa SSBSC, times 2 nyo, 2 kilowatts. So, the reason why merong mga specific lang na power output na pwede natin gamitin is syempre, it is a responsibility, di ba, for us to transmit on the air. So, definitely, kapag mas mataas yung class mo, it means na meron ka ng mas malawak na experience. So, you are expected to be more responsible enough to use higher power output to transmit to a larger area. Ayan. So, that's from the NTC Memorandum Circular Number 0308-2012. Next. Ayan. So, checkpoint number 3. Who is the Class A amateur duly appointed by the board of a club association to supervise and control the proper use and operation of the fixed station of the association or club? Ayan. So, sino? You may comment. in Facebook or YouTube kung alin ba, sino ba yung ina-appoint na Class A. So, the answer is, tama po kayo, letter C, it is the trustee. Ayan, thank you. Technical regulations during emergency. Ayan. So, si emergency channel natin, we may transmit it using the 145.000 megahertz with plus or minus 25 kilohertz that can be used for emergency communications and general calling frequency for radio telephony. So, ito yung ginagamit natin na frequency when there are emergencies. It is to facilitate reception of distress call. All transmission shall be kept to a minimum and shall not exceed by 1 minute. So, itong 145 megahertz, ginagamit siya sa emergency. So, dapat yung mga transmission natin dito is minimize lang and hindi dapat magtatagal lang 1 minute dahil iniiwasan natin na matabunan yung ibang emergency na maaring isend dito sa frequency na to. If without distress traffic, listen for a reasonable period before transmitting to ensure no distress traffic is taking place. So, ayun, in using this frequency, and kahit naman yung amateur radio frequencies naman, we should be cautious. Ayan, kailangan papakinggan muna natin kung wala bang nagtatransmit. Okay, para masigurado natin na wala tayong matatabunan na nagtatransmit. Especially this purpose is for emergency. Next. So, ano ba yung mga emergency channel natin? So, the authorized radio frequencies at times of disaster and national emergencies are the following. So, merong magkaiba yung para sa amateur radio groups and para dun sa civic action groups. Okay? So, sa amateur radio groups, meron tayong 7.095 megahertz. Remember that one as the calling frequency. 144.740 megahertz, 147.500 megahertz as a working frequency naman, and 147.575 megahertz as an alternate frequency. Okay? Sa civic action groups naman, 142.200 megahertz as their working frequency and the 142.00 megahertz as their alternate frequency. Ayan. And the reference is NTC Memorandum Order number 0403-2011. Ayan. So here are in emergency channel, yung mga distress signals, pwede nating isend through the following. In radio telephony or using our voice, Mayday spoken 3 times, followed by call sign, name, location, nature of distress, and kind of assistance desired. So for example, Mayday, 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 ay, syempre medyo mabagal dapat. So, Mayday, 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 for India 1, Juliet Alpha Delta, I am Jaddie and my location is Pasig City. And sasabihin nyo anong nangyayari na emergency and kung ano yung kailangan nyo na assistance. In radio telegraphy naman or continuous wave using Morse code, we use SOS followed by a call sign, name, location, nature of distress, kind of assistance desired. So, radio telephony or voice, it is Mayday. Kapag radio telegraphy or Morse code, ang ginagamit naman ay SOS. Okay, next, applications, permits, and licenses will be discussed naman by our District 1 Manager, si Tito Lawrence Atanacio. Ayan. So let's welcome Tito Lawrence. But before his discussion, magkakaroon po muna tayo ng um, okay, so I'm done with my part. Si Kristine, hello po, Ma'am Kristine.
Thank you so much, Engineer Lorzano, for that very informative presentation. So, ang dami naming natutunan. And hopefully,
Thank you.
everyone was able to listen carefully because later on, di ba, magkakaroon tayo ng mock exam.
Ayan.
So, today is Valentine's Day. Kaya naman, how about we relax for a couple of minutes while we listen to Sina Gracia Ocampo Lopez from Radio Engineering Circle, Taguig Section.
I'm being who I am. I'm doing what I can. Just trying my best, but it won't be enough for them. Tired of living, tired of fighting in this kind of world. What even is the right thing? Tired of the standards of society, wealth, power, fame, and beauty. They look at me ridiculously. I don't have any, unfortunately. Forced to live inside a box. Turned the knob, the door was locked. They sneered from above and mock all the talk, and that's what you got. Practice our voice is what they say. However, opinions kept at bay. Sometimes I ask, is this the only way? I kinda lost hope, but oh hey, I'm being who I am. I'm doing what I can. Just trying my best, but it won't be enough for them. Tired of living, tired of fighting in this kind of world. What even is the right thing? All communication, no discrimination. We do it for us, for the next generation. Darling, it's a brand new age. Time to destroy the bars and cage. We don't have to fight with rage. Maybe the world needs to change. Don't you wanna feel and see a world we can love freely? No matter the gender, the color, what's important is you and me. I'm being who I am. I'm doing what I can. Just trying my best, but it won't be enough for them. Tired but living, tired but fighting in this kind of world. But even is the right thing. Still being who I am, still doing what I can, still trying my best and hope it'll be enough for them.
Thank you so much, Miss Sina Gracia, for the insightful and inspiring song. We are looking forward to hear more from you in the future. Okay, so to those who haven't heard yet about the mechanics for the exam, so here is the fundamentals of amateur radio and preparation to NTC Amateur Radio Class C Examination Guidelines. Okay, so number one, make sure that you have a stable internet connection. Number two, a link will be flashed before the start of the program. Register to receive a certificate once you completed the webinar and take the mock exam for elements 2, 3, and 4. Make yourself comfortable in listening and taking notes for your review. In case that you have any questions, reserve those during our lecture proper. You may send them by leaving a comment on our Facebook or YouTube live feed. After the program, a link will be flashed on the screen. This will redirect you to the feedback and mock exam form. You can only open the link on or before 11:59 p.m. Philippine Standard Time of February 14. To be qualified for having the certificate in this webinar, you must be able to get at least a score of 18 out of 25 for the elements 2, 3, and 4. This is the same number of items in the exam provided by the NTC. Today you will be taking element 2. You may only take the exam once. Ayan. Okay, so we invite everyone to be part of the growing amateur radio club in the Philippines. Apply now and log on to rec.org.ph/join. So, join our circle. Ayan, so we are on our second part of the webinar. Let's proceed. So our next speaker is the Philippine Amateur Radio Association District 1 Manager and member of Ham Radio Emergency Communications Group Incorporated. Let's all welcome Mr. Lawrence M. Atanacio, call sign Delta Uniform 1 Sierra Victor Yankee. Hi, Sir Lawrence. How are you? Sir, I think you are on mute.
Ayan, Kristine, meron na ba?
Ay, yes,
How
sir.
copy? Check 1, 2, 3.
Copy.
Ayan. Okay, thank you, Kristine. So let's proceed to the seminar in continuation of the element 2 or the amateur radio orientation seminar rules and regulations. So be adding slide. Okay, so applications, permits, and licenses. So let's proceed. Next slide. Okay, the minimum requirements. So, Filipino citizen or a foreigner from a country providing the same privileges to a Filipino in their country. Then at least 12 years old for Class D. For Class D, the minimum age is 9 years old, provided that there's an affidavit of parental consent. So, ability to transmit and receive messages in English, Filipino, Spanish, or Arabic. For Class D, so sabi nga rito, 9 years old. So, ang kanyang exam lang is element 2 only. Element 2 only. So, after niya pag naging 12 years old na siya, you can take the elements 3 and 4 in order to complete the technician class amateur radio examination requirements. Oh. So next slide. Okay, reciprocal agreement, an agreement on an amateur licensing between two countries whereby citizens of one country is authorized to operate on the other country provided he is a holder of a license issued by his government. For example,
Sir
USA
Lawrence.
Philippines,
Hi. Sir
reciprocal
Lawrence,
agreement.
I'm sorry to
Hello,
interrupt, Sir
hello.
Lawrence. Yes, sir, sorry to interrupt, but
Go
I
ahead,
think
go ahead,
we have a problem on your
go ahead, go ahead.
audio. Nagi-scratchy po siya. So, medyo can you check, sir, your
Okay.
I think your microphone or something? Ayan, so I think Sir Lawrence is having a technical problem with his microphone. So while we are waiting for Sir Lawrence again, I hope everyone has registered so you can take the examination later. And if you have questions, just write it down as of the moment because later on we're going to have a question and answer portion. Our speakers will answer them, and I believe those will be very helpful on the exam. And to those who haven't joined the radio engineering circle yet, so what are you waiting for? Apply now. Just log on to rec.org.ph/join. So it's very easy and there's a lot to learn from the organization. Okay, so for now we are waiting for Sir Lawrence for the second part of our webinar. So we are currently live on Facebook and YouTube. So I hope everyone's having a very fruitful morning on this Valentine's Day. Ayan. So I can see from the comments, we are everyone's watching not only in the Philippines but also there are people watching from abroad. So ayan. So malaki yung range ng ating viewers. I think Sir Lawrence is back. Sir Lawrence, are you there? Ayan. So I think
Ayan,
hi Sir
Christine, okay
Lawrence,
na?
you're back. Yes sir, it's better po.
Okay, good. Let's continue.
Okay po.
Okay, so reciprocal agreement, no? Naputol tayo rito. So ito yung agreement between the other countries, for example, Philippines and United States. So ang purpose niyan ay para makapag-exam sila rito sa Pilipinas. So ganun din tayo dun sa kanilang bansa. So yun yung tawag na reciprocal agreement. Next slide. Okay, amateur radio examination. So for now, we are now in element 2. So the topic is radio rules and regulations. So ito po ang coverage ng amateur class C. Element 2, radio rules and regulations. Element 3, fundamentals of electronics and electricity. Element 4, the amateur radio practice. And note, if a candidate for Class C fails element 3 and 4 but passes element 2, he shall be eligible for Class D license. So, pwede siyang magkaroon ng amateur call sign na Class D. Yung bago nating prefix, yung 4H o for hotels or yung Delta Yankee or DY. So it depends on the regions kasi. Unlike dito sa Metro Manila and Region 4, medyo marami po kami, maraming amateurs dito kaya naubos na yung mga old call signs kaya iniisip ko ngayon is yung ating bagong call signs. So yeah, no. So kung bumagsak daw ng 3 and 4, you are eligible for Class D license. So next. So Class B, the coverage of the examinations for Element 5 is signals, frequencies, and emissions. Element 6, circuit components. And Element 7, operating procedures. Okay, wag po kayong mag-alala. Ang Radio Engineering Circle po ay nagkakandak din po yan ng review for Class B and Class A. So kaya dito muna tayo mag-focus sa Class C. Okay, next slide please. For amateur class A, the requirements is element 1, international Morse code or the 5 words per minute CW examination. Element 8, practical circuits. Element 9, antenna and transmission lines. And element 10, radio wave propagation. Next slide. Okay? Amateur radio examination required rating for the written exam. So the required examination an average of 70% is required to pass the written exam, provided at a rating of not less than 50% is received for any of the prescribed elements. So kailangan daw ay maka 70% po in order to pass, for example, the Class C examination. So each elements 2, 3, and 4, 25 po ang question po dyan. 25. At least ayan, no? So a rating of not less than 50% is received for any of the prescribed elements. So, kailangan mo, kalahati tayo doon sa tatlong elements na examine for Class C. Pero kung Class D lang po, so kailangan po mapas nyo po yung element 2, at least 50%. Next. Required rating for Morse code exam element 1 and 3/4 of the transmitted text and 1 minute continuous transcription of the Morse code examination. Next slide. Okay, so we have a special candidate, no? So in order to upgrade their license. So meaning hindi na dadaan daw ng Class C. So bakit daw? Kasi meron tayong tinatawag na special candidates. So ano daw po 'yan? Dapat daw po ay electronics engineer o yung ngayon kasi electronics engineer tawag na. Hindi na ECE, no? So registered electronics engineers or ECE, professional electronics engineers or the first class radio telephone operator o 1PHN, first or second class radio telegraph operators, yung 1 RTG or 2 RTG, no? Eligible for class B after passing element 2 only without undergoing exam for class C. So hindi na sila magte-take ng elements 3 and 4 only amateur radio rules and regulations. Pero kailangan siyempre yung kanilang mga requirements dapat siyempre valid. So dapat license electronics engineer ka. Valid dapat yung mga licenses mo, yung mga documents kasi yun ang number 1 na hanapin. Proving that you are a registered licensed electronics engineer or 1PHN, and itong ating mga first or second class radio telegraph operators. Kailangan valid po. Kung expired, hindi po kayo mag-grant to take the special candidate or to take the Class B examination. So next slide. Next slide po. Okay, so meron tayong tinatawag na call sign. So a distinctive identification issued by the National Telecommunications Commission consisting of numbers and letters. It is a unique and recognized internationally, no? Especially during the contest in the HF, like the International Amateur Radio Union HF contest, the ARLL contest, lahat po ng international contest, ang ating pong mga call signs ay kilala po yan internationally or worldwide. Ano po? So ating pong prefix, for example, DU or Delta Uniform or Delta Zulu. Pwede po yan sa mga vanity call sign. No? Ang district po number po natin ay 1 to 9 hanggang siyam lang po yung ating district number. So kung taga Metro Manila ka, taga NCR, district 1 po ang iyong district number. Yung suffix naman po, pwede pong dalawang letra or tatlong letra. Pero kapag kayo po ay pumasa ng Class C, ang i-issue po sa inyong letters or suffix is tatlo po. Ano po? Example po natin na DB1 PPC or Papa Charlie. So yan po, Class B po yan. Si Sir Hard po pala yan, no? For F1PH naman, Class A call sign, amateur station, amateur call sign, si Patrick for F1PH. So, as of now po, only Class A is eligible for the two-letter call sign. So, siyempre, kailangan sulat ka muna, letter of intent to your respective regional directors para i-approve yung gusto mong call sign. Kung Class A ka, kung gusto mong magpalit ng two-letter call sign. Kung ayaw mo naman, pwede ka naman mag vanity call sign na tinatawag. Next slide. Okay, the call sign. So prefix for Class D, we have Delta Yankee, DY. And yung bago nating call sign naman is yung 4H. No? So pagpasa mo, so halimbawa, napasa mo is elemento lang or elemento litinik mo, you will be granting the prefix of 4H or call sign. But kailangan po mag-apply ka for license kasi nakapasa ka pa lang ng exam. So, kailangan mo mag-file ng license, no, para magkaroon ka ng call sign. So, for Class C is DW or Delta Whiskey, phonetic, 4G. No, ito maganda, 4G. No? So, tawag dito. So, class yan, yung 4G. No? Dati kasi po, ito pong mga bagong prefix natin, ginagamit lang ito sa ating mga, for example, special event call sign, ayan, vanity call sign. Pero ngayon po ay in-issue na po yun ng NTC as a regular call signs of amateurs. So for Class B, we have DB and 4I. Hindi ata napalitan to, 4G pa rin. So 4I po yan, 4I. Itong Class B, kagaya ni Teacher Jaddie, 4I siya, 4 India. No? For Class A, we have DU and sa old prefix DU and 4F and yung bago nating call sign prefix is 4E o 4 Echo. Then sa club, ang club kasi meron din mga call signs. They have also an club call sign or club station call sign. Ang kanilang prefix naman pong pwede gamitin is Delta X-ray or Delta Zulu, DX or DZ. Oh, so 3 letters issued by NTC sequentially, example 4F2 KWT or 4G1 GPS. 2 letters vanity at least class A, example 4F1 JJ, 4F1 PH, ayan, D1 MS. Yan po yung example ng ating mga call sign. No? Next slide. Okay, ito po yung nabanggit ko kanina na bagong call sign. So NTC, ang reference po natin is the NTC Office Order numbers 183-12-2016 guidelines in the additional allocations of prefixes in the amateur radio service. So for 4E is class A or extra class, 4I general class or class B, 4G technician class or class C, 4H is the foundation class or class D. Dati po kasi ang tawag sa foundation class is novice class. So ngayon po foundation class na po siya. Po biro niyo po 9 years old. Marami na po nakagawa po niya na 9 years old meron ng amateur call sign. O yan yung at yung 9 years old, no? Dati kasi 12, so ngayon binabaan lalo. So kayang-kaya na kasi nila yan, yung mga ating 9 years old. So next slide. The Philippines divided into 9 amateur radio districts. So governed by the National Telecommunications Commission or the NTC, and the Philippines is under the International Amateur Radio Region 3. So sa Region 3 po ng IARO, Asia Pacific po ang kanyang buong sinasakop. Ano po, sakop po niya yung yan, example, Japan, Indonesia, Malaysia. Yan po yung kasama natin sa Region 3 ng IARO. So si IARO po, yan po yung ating pinaka international organization. Next. Next slide. Okay, the amateur radio districts. Yan, baka mamaya magkamali tayo. Ang tanong mamaya, ba, tinanong si exam, anong district, radio district nasasakop ang Cavite? So baka masagot natin Region 4A. Nako, mali, bagsak na po tayo agad sa exam. So dapat po ay District 1 po 'yan. So ang cover po ng District 1 ay yung buong National Capital Region, ang Region 4. Ano po yung Region 4? Kasama po diyan ang Calabarzon at Mimaropa. So yan po ang cover ng Amateur Radio District 1. Sa District 2 naman po, ang kanyang cover ay o nasasakupan ay ang buong District 2. Nasasakupan niya po is Region 1, Ilocos Region, and Region 2, Cagayan Valley. At kasama po ang Cordillera Administrative Region. Sa District 3 naman po, yan po ang Region 3 o ang buong Central Luzon Region. Sa District 4 po, nandiyan po ang Region 5, ang Bicol Region. Then ang District 5 naman po, this region, ang Eastern Visayas po, ang nasasakupan po ng Eastern Visayas, District 5. Then sa District 6, andyan po ang Western Visayas. Sa District 7, ang nasasakupan niya naman po ay ang Central Visayas. Ang District 8 po, ang kanya pong nasasakupan ay ang Zamboanga Peninsula, Soc-Sargen, Isabela City at Basilan. Sa region District 9 po, ang kanya pong nasasakupan na region ay ang Northern Mindanao, ayan, ang Davao Region, Caraga Region at ang Bangsamoro Administrative Region. Yung farm, yung dati pong ARM na ngayon po ay farm na. Next slide po. Okay, mag-sample muna po tayo. Checkpoint number 4. Philippines is what international, what ITU region? Okay, teka. Dapat pala, ano pala ito dapat? ERO. Philippines under what ERO region? Or the International Amateur Radio Union? Ano po ang tamang sagot dyan? Sino po makakasagot? Region 3. Yan. Okay, next slide. Okay, what is one of the frequencies of the emergency channel on the 2-meter band? Ano po ang ating emergency channel on the 2-meter band? The answer is, ano po sagot? Ayun, letter B, 145 megahertz. Okay, next slide. So, what provinces belong to Amateur Radio District 6? Yan, anong mga ano daw yan? Letter E, letter B, C, or D? Sino po makakasagot? Ano po ang nasasakupan daw ng Amateur Radio District 6? So, the answer is letter C. Okay, yan po ang Iloilo, Negros Occidental, and Capiz Province. Okay, next slide. Operator's license, effectivity of operator certificate or license, the minimum of 1 year with the expiration date falling on the licensee's birthday. Okay, so 1 year lang po ang minimum. So maximum po natin is 3 years. So for lifetime or permanent RSL is valid for the lifetime of the licensee. Meron din po tayong lifetime provided na dapat ikaw ay 60 years old at dapat po ikaw ay Class A and 15 years in the amateur radio service. Hindi po sinasabi sa NTC memorandum na 15 years na Class A. Ang sinasabi po doon ay dapat 15 years in the amateur radio service. So, kailangan po ay 60 years old para maging lifetime permanent amateur radio licensee. Wala na pong renewal yon unless bibili ka ng radyo para isalin doon sa secondary license mo. So, dalawa kasi yung patulong ng amateur lifetime. Isang license, second page naman, doon nakalagay yung mga uh, license radius mo. Okay, next. The operator's license, scope, authority of license, install, own, operate the authorized equipment for an amateur fixed mobile and portable radio station in the appropriate frequency bands for his class on an interference basis. Okay? So may ano dyan, dapat daw equipment should be registered. Okay? So ito po ang ating authority as an amateur radio operator. Next slide. Okay, checkpoint number 7. How many days before expiration should the application for renewal of the amateur license be filed? Ilang days daw yan? At least 60, 30 days, 90 days, or 15 days. Ano pong letter ang tamang sagot? Letter B. Okay, at least 30 days. Pag lumagpas, may penalty na po kayo. Okay, renewal expired licenses. Licenses for less than 2 years may be renewed upon filing of renewal application, payment of arrears and surcharge equal to 100% of the licensee for every year or fraction of a year that the license has expired. Kung mapapansin po natin, last year po, starting March hanggang December, hindi po hiningin ang NTC ng penalty or surcharge due to pandemic. So, kung kayo po ay hindi pa rin nakarenew, ngayong taon, ay may penalty na po kayo. Next slide po. Okay. A license expired more than 2 years but less than 5 years may be renewed upon same as previous, but applicant may be assigned the different cosign if the previously assigned is no longer available. So kung 5 years na raw expired yung license mo, maaari ka nang bigyan ng ibang call sign unless upon verification yung call sign mo ay hindi pa na-assign sa ibang tao, ay maaari mo pa rin gamitin. Pero kung dahil 5 years na nga expired, pwede na siyang ma-assign sa ibang amateur. So, the ATC will issue you a new call sign. Next slide. Okay, a license expired for more than 5 years may be renewed upon same as previous, and applicant need to attend a seminar on current radio laws and ethics. So, dapat daw po kapag ang license mo expired ng 5 years onwards, kailangan umattend ka ng seminar on current radio laws and ethics. Kasi po, nag-update po yung ating radio rules and regulations. So, kailangan malaman nung amateur na matagal na expired ng kanyang license, yung mga nadagdag na laws sa ating amateur radio service. Okay. Example ulit tayo. Checkpoint number 8. If a Class C amateur applies for renewal of his license for another 3 years, but is 14 months expired, and the prescribed license fee is 144 per year, how much shall he pay the NTC for his radio station's license renewal excluding filing fee? So A, 422, B, 578, C, 658, or D, 720. Ano po ang tamang sagot? Ayan, 144 po per year ang Class C. Next, ano po ang tamang sagot? Ayan, 720. Okay. Next. Okay, the operator's license, renewal of licenses, kailangan meron tayong proof of mature of activity. For example, DXing, contesting in Asian contests, technical experimentations, copy of endorsement from on an amateur radio club, or emergency communications. Or pwede rin dyan yung check-in ka sa mga different amateur radio clubs na nagkakandak ng VHF or 2-meter network. Okay. Okay, modification of licenses. Ano daw yan? Should be filed with NTC for grading for a higher class. For example, nag-upgrade ka from Class C to Class B. Or change of name, transfer of location of the fixed station, addition, deletion, or change of transceiver. Or for example, nagbenta ka ng isang mong equipment sa kapwa mo amateur. So, kailangan i-delete yung radio na naka-registered doon sa license mo at ita-transfer naman siya doon sa kung saan ibebenta mo yung inyong yung radio. Next. Okay, duplicate license. A license that has been lost, mutilated, or destroyed.
I think Sir Lawrence is having a technical problem. So, let's wait for Sir Lawrence to be back. So while we are waiting for Sir Lawrence, I just want to inform everyone that the feedback form and the exam sheet is accessible on this link, which I will provide later. I'm so sorry because you might access it right now. Anyway, so just be ready. Write your questions, and our speakers will answer them later after the presentations. So we still have Engineer Lorzano on the line. Engineer Lorzano. So I think Sir Lawrence. Okay, Sir Lawrence is connecting again. Hi, Sir Jaddie.
Okay na, Christine? Pwede ko nang i-continue?
Yes, sir. Please continue po.
Okay. So, thank you once again. So, dito tayo sa duplicate license. So, a license that has been lost, mutilated, or destroyed shall be reported immediately, and the application for duplicate license should be filed with the National Telecommunications Commission. Ano po yung duplicate? For example po, ayan, nawala or nasunog during fire incident, or nabaha yung license nyo, dokumento nyo. So, magpapile po kayo ng duplicate license. O kaya lang yung ating duplicate license form, yan po ay dapat po ay notarize. Lalagay niyo po rin yung reason. Ano po yung reason bakit po kayo nag-apply for duplicate license. So kung makita nyo man po yung original license, please surrender to your respective NTC regions. Yeah, so ito nakalagay, surrender the duplicate if the original has been found. Okay, next slide. Okay, checkpoint number 9. What general subject is covered by element 3 for Class C examination? A. International Morse Code. B. Rules and regulations. C. Fundamentals of electronics and electricity. Or D. Amateur radio practice. Ano po ang tamang sagot dyan? Sino po makakasagot sa ating FB Live? Yan. Letter C. Fundamentals of electronics and electricity. Next slide. Okay, checkpoint number 10. When a citizen of another country qualified to take the examination and apply for an amateur license here? A. After he has attended the seminar and submitted the requirements. B. After submission of his passport copy. C. When his country extends the same privilege to Filipino national as far as examination is concerned. Or letter D. When he is endorsed to any Class A or an NTC accredited club. What is the correct answer? Okay, letter C. When his country extends the same privilege to Filipino nationals as far as examination is concerned. Next slide. Okay, rules governing operations of the amateur stations. Okay, we have meron po tayong tinatawag na mobile and portable operation. So, must be identified in radio telephony by the call sign, suffix, by the word portable or mobile, followed by the district where the operation is taking place. Example po natin, if going to Nueva Ecija for a day, for example, for F1JJ should transmit as 4F1JJ mobile 3, no? Or 4F1JJ portable 3, or 4F1JJ slant 3, or 4F1JJ stroke 3. Ano po? So, ang purpose po niyan para ma-identify po yung amateur radio stations kung nasaan district po siya, whether naka-portable ba siya, naka-mobile, or naka-fixed station siya doon sa location. So, purpose po niya para ma-identify po yung ham or the amateur kung nasang district po siya. Next. Portable operation in another district must not exceed 30 days without NTC authority. Ano po? Kailangan po 30 days ka lang. For example, nagpunta ka ng Baguio. No? So, dapat po ang allowed po dyan ay 30 days lang yung mobile or portable operation. So, must obtain NTC authority after 30 days. So, kailangan ito po ay base po sa radio rules and regulation. No? Then, modification of license is needed if 4 months or more. So, magpapalit ka na ng district number mo. For example, DB1 PPC transfer to Tuguegarao and modifies license. After 4 months, it becomes DB2 PPC or Papa Papa Charlie. DB2 Papa Papa Charlie. Okay? So, kasi nag-transfer ka na. Kasi lumagpas ka na ng 4 na buwan. Kaya provided nga lang kung yun namang suffix mo nagka-problema, meron palang PPC ron. For example, ABC. Hindi ma-issue sa'yo yung gusto mong call sign, yung dati mo. So, baka issue ka ng panibagong call sign doon sa region na kung saan ikaw ay nag-modify ng license mo. I-verify pa kasi nila yan. Kasi baka madoble. Okay, so next. Next slide. Okay, posting of call signs. Call sign of the licensee should be displayed conspicuously, one that is immediately visible. Kailan daw ay visible siya, nakikita. At the authorized location of the station or the equipment itself. It is a portable station. For fixed station, at entrance premises daw ng bahay, so of size at least centimeter high. For mobile station, o sa ating mga sasakyan on the windshield of vehicle or vessel of at least a size 5.08 centimeter. And sa portable naman, yung ating handheld radio on the equipment itself of size at least 0.635 centimeter po ang mga kanyang mga sukat. Ayan, baka kasama po sa exam niya. Take note po natin yung sizes ng mga yung ating mga call signs, mga sticker na kung saan ilalagay natin sa ating fixed station, mobile or portable stations or ating mga portable or handheld radios. So ito po yung mga sizes. Next slide. Prohibited actions, operations without valid radio operator certificate, ROC, o radio station license. Sa amateur radio service po, hindi ka pa po pwedeng mag-transmit without a valid amateur license or call sign. The number 2, transmission of messages or signals containing music, profane or indecent words or language, commercial messages, transmission with false misleading identification or with intention to facilitate a criminal act. Ito po yung mga prohibited actions. Ito po yung mga pinagbabawal, especially kapag tayo ay nagra-radyo ka, gagawin mo yung mga yan, yung tatlong nabanggit natin, yan po ay pinagbabawal. Kung nasabi rito, operation without valid RC or RC, parang pag mamaneho lang po yung nasasakyan, hindi ka po pwedeng mag-drive ng any vehicle, motorman o four wheels kung wala kang driver's license. Ganon din po yan sa amateur radio service. Kailangan po meron kang lisensya para makapag-operate ka. Okay, next. On interferences, cease operations immediately upon knowing that you are causing harmful interference to any station. In case of harmful interference, NTC may limit power of station or limit operating hours, suspend operation until station is fixed, or close stations temporarily in the event of continued interference. So hindi naman po basta nasabi na, for example, itong station na interfere yung aming frequency or aming repeater frequency. Aside. So hindi naman po basta-basta yan i-close. So yan po ay i-monitor muna, titingnan kung nakaka-interference talaga, or yung bawat club po ay magbibigay yan, mag-adjust po sila ng kanilang power output ng kanilang mga repeater stage. Yung po kadalasan po kasi nakakaroon ng interference sa mga frequencies ng mga different clubs. Next slide. Use of station by another station. The amateur station of a licensee may be used to transmit by another person only when the licensee controls directly the entire operation in accordance with proper amateur practice. No? Ang sabi rito, only when the licensee controls directly the entire operation. Sample po natin dito, for example, yung activity po ng Girl Scouts of the Philippines. Yung International Friendship Exchange NDX Contest or INFEX NDX Contest, sila po, mga walang lisensya po. Yung nga lang, sila po ay under the supervision of the amateur radio operators or the station or the club trustee during the entire operation or the entire contest. So, doon lang po sila allowed makapag-transmit ng radio. Next slide. Checkpoint number 11, what type of modification of the amateur license can be filed with the National Telecommunications Commission or NTC? Ano raw pwedeng i-file for modification? A, upgrading to a higher class of license. B, transfer of location of the fixed station. C, installation of additional or change of transmitter or transceiver. D, all of the above. Ano po ang tamang sagot? Okay, ang tamang sagot po ay letter D, all of the above. Next slide. Okay, what document is issued by the NTC authorizing possession of a radio transceiver or receiver? So, A, permit to transfer. B, permit to own. C, permit to possess. Or D, permit to purchase. Permit to purchase. Ano po ang tamang sagot? A, B, C, or D? Authorizing the possession of radio transceiver. Ayan. Permit to possess po yan ang tamang sagot. Permit to possess. Next slide. What documents is issued by NTC authorizing the holder to purchase a radio transmitter or transceiver? Ayan, para daw makabili ka ng mga radio, kailangan meron ka daw. Anong meron? Letter A, permit to transfer. B, permit to own. C, permit to possess. D, permit to purchase. Okay, ang tamang sagot po ay letter D, permit to purchase. Ayan. Next slide. Amateur Radio Club. An amateur radio club should be, ano po daw dapat? Para maging, maging accredited with the NTC. Amateur radio club should be registered with the Securities and Exchange Commission or SEC. Minimum of 25 licensed amateur members. Only duly recognized amateur stations should be allowed by NTC to install and operate a fixed station repeater under the supervision of the club trustee and execute with the NTC a MOA or a memorandum of agreement. Next slide. Okay, amateur radio organization. The Philippine Amateur Radio Association is the only recognized national society of amateurs. References NTC Memorandum Circular Number 03-08-2012. Next slide. Okay, amateur radio club station, minimum of 25 licensed amateur members under the supervision of trustee or club trustee, registered with the Securities and Exchange Commission or SEC. And next. Okay na pala yun. Okay, so how long must be a radio logbook be kept? Ilang years daw po dapat yan? A, 5 years. B, 2 years. C, 6 years. 6 months, sorry. D, until the license expire. What is the correct answer? Letter, ano po sagot? Letter B, 2 years. Yan po. Next slide. How long must be a radio logbook with the distress traffic be keep? 5 years, letter A. B, 2 years. C, 6 months. D, until the license expires. Ano pong tamang sagot? Letter B, 2 years. Okay. Next slide. Okay, and so, okay, dito na pala tayo nagtatapos. So, maraming salamat sa pakikinig sa amin ni Jaddie sa topic na amateur radio rules and regulations. Balik natin sa ating moderator na si Ma'am Kristine. Back to you.
Thank you po, Sir Lawrence, for that very informative presentation. Ang dami po naming natutunan. And I think we have a few more minutes for some questions for our speakers. So, if you have some questions, just post it on our Facebook Live and YouTube. So, our speakers will answer them. And if there's something that you need clarification with, this is the time to ask. Ayan. Especially there's a MAC exam later. So if you have questions, Ayan, post them. Okay? Do you have questions? Anything? Ayan, so I think I'm seeing some questions here on Facebook. So this is from Ulysses Legaspi. Kailan po mag-o-offer ng exam ang NTC? Ayan. So Sir Lawrence, Sir Jaddie, so they're asking if nag-offer na po ba ng exam ang NTC?
Ah, kailan mag-o-open ng exam? Ayan, si Ulysses Legaspi. Sa ngayon po, wala pa pong examination ang NTC na ino-offer. Nagkaroon pa lang sila ng guidelines o yung mga requirements na dapat requirements para sa mga aplikante. So, kasi po ito po ay aprobahan pa ng ating AITF. Hindi po kasi basta-basta. Ultimo ang PRC or Professional Regulations Commission ay hindi pa makapagpa-exam dahil na tayo ay pandemic. So, pero meron na pong guidelines ang NTC regarding the amateur examination. Kaya lang nakita ko doon, isa sa mga requirements daw ay yung RT-PCR o yung swab test. So hindi ko lang alam kung ito ba ay itutuloy na kailangan may RT-PCR or pwedeng medical certificate na lang or talaga bang kailangan na RT-PCR. So mag-abang-abang lang po kayo, visit nyo lang po lagi yung NTC website o yung ating mga radio clubs or yung para website. Ayan, nandun po nakapost sa para.org.ph. Yun lang. So, standby lang po tayo. So, as of now, wala pa po tayong examinations for, hopefully, this year, magkaroon na po. So, salamat.
Okay, thank you, sir. Here's another question from John Lawrence Valenzuela. Can we at our school be allowed by the NTC to erect, mount, or install a complete base radio setup in compliance to our school emergency response unit, in compliance to DepEd mandates? Yes, sir. So, allowed daw po
Okay,
ba
sino to?
sila?
Si John Valenzuela.
Lord.
So,
Oh,
ito nga, pinag-uusapan nga natin, Sir John, ano? Yung ating amateur radio regulations. So, kailangan nga, sabi ng authority to install. So, kailangan magkaroon ka ng authority to install, dapat meron ka pong license. Unless kayo po ay nag-exam at yung doon po kayo magse-set up, doon po sa inyong eskwelahan, maaari na po yun dahil kayo po ay may karapatan mag-install, bumili ng radyo, o mag-set up ng inyong amateur radio station. Yan po ay amateur radio station. Kasi po, kung government po ang inyong government frequency or requirements, iba naman po ang requirements po noon sa amateur. Magkaiba po sila. So, mas the best po talaga is amateur radio. Yeah, kagaya po sa PUP, Radio Engineering Circle. So, pwede silang mag-stall sa kanilang eskwelahan dahil sila po ay mayroong radio station license. So, kung kayo naman po na individual, maaari po kayong mag-install. Yun nga lang, nakapangalan po sa inyo yung radio station license po o yung inyo pong lisensya. O maaari po yung inyo ring eskwelahan. No? Kasi po pag school, wala na pong SEC na hinahanap po ang NTC, provided gagawa lang po kayo ng letter. At dapat po, meron po kayong 25 members na banggit po natin kanina sa kaninang topic po natin. Okay, salamat.
Okay, and also ang radio engineering circle din, you may ask for assistance if you would like to establish a station in your localities, may it be school or kung ano mang group yan. Like for example, si Radio Engineering Circle, nakipag-partner po kami with DepEd Iligan. Kumbaga, if you are interested to establish a station or a club, you may ask REC. Pwede nyo i-message yung page namin. Pwede nyo ring i-email ang rec. Ayan, thank you. Ang email po pala ng rec ay radio@rec.org.ph. Okay? So, if may inquiries kayo, pwede nyo pong i-email kami.
I think Sir Jadi, I've seen a correction posted on the comment section of our Facebook and YouTube. So can you elaborate on that, sir? So we posted the correction about keeping the logbook.
Okay. I think si Tito Lawrence
Uh,
ang
Ayan.
Tito
Sir,
Lawrence?
it says that
Ayan,
instead of
okay. Sige, sige. Okay, so ayan, correction logbook. Ayan, correction logbook with distress traffic record should be kept for 5 years. And thank you. Medyo ma-adjust lang yata yung ating ano kanina sa slide.
of
Okay.
Pati yung ITU, yung naging ITU yung ating ERO siguro sa ating ano lang. Sige, salamat. So 5 years po yun, ano po, yung ating distress log.
this one naman, sir, I think dalawa na yung nakita kong nagtanong about this. So, does a motorcycle club using radio as comms and emergency comms must be registered to NTC? This is from Castro Christian J.
Okay. Ano kay Sir Castro, Christian J, the sa modes of using radio commercial must be. Dapat po, kasi po gumagamit po tayo ng radyo eh. Kung tayo po ay gagamit ng radyo, dapat po meron po tayong lisensya. So kung kayo po ay motorcycle club, mag-apply po kayo ng civic or commercial group registered with the National Telecommunication. Dapat po meron po. License po yung ating mga radyo. Ganun po yun. So may mga
Yes.
requirements din po dyan. May requirements din.
Yes. Thank you, sir. I think we have time for one more question. So this is from Ronald Mark Omana. Is it very easy to purchase two-way radios online? Do we need to get NTC permit to purchase before we can buy any kind of two-way radio online?
Sa online po, makikita po natin kahit nga Lazada, Shopee, may nagbebenta po, no? Yun po yung mga yan. Hindi po yan mga accredited dealer o ng NTC o registered. So kung gusto niyo po na ang inyo pong radyo ay may dokumento o palisensyahan, dapat po doon po tayo bibili sa authorized radio dealers ng NTC. So makikita naman po yan sa website ng NTC kung saan po o anong pangalan ng mga registered dealer o yung mga authorized na magbenta ng radyo. Pero marami naman po nagbebenta online. Yung nga lang po, hindi lang po natin siya mapapalisensyahan. Yun lang po ang ating ano po doon, ang ating magiging problema. Unlike yung meron kang permit to purchase, ay makakabili ka ng iyong radyo. Tama ba? Yung pwede bang i-plus uli natin yung ano niya, question niya? Tama naman, ano? Tungkol sa
Yeah.
permit to purchase, ano?
Opo. Ayan. So, another question from Melvin
Oh,
Girella. Ay, sir, sorry, Sir Jadi. Ayan. Sige po, sir.
ah, sige, ang tanong ni Melvin Guerrera is, kailangan po ba amateur licensee ka bago mag-join sa REC? So, the answer is no. Pwede ka naman mag-join sa REC and then we will help you to be an amateur radio operator. Pero definitely, in REC, dapat po tayo ay mga amateur radio operators. So, but if you are interested to be an amateur radio operator and wala pa kayo license, as early as now, pwede na kayong mag-inquire to be part of REC. Ayan. And isa pang question ni Dayan sa ngalang nato. a student po under the curriculum BSECE, malaki po ba ang benefits po niya kahit students pa lang kami na magkaroon po ng license about po dito from AMA Computer College Calamba. Ayan. Thank you, Diane. So ako, I'm also I'm once a student of BSEC din sa PUP, di ba? So now I'm an electronics engineer. Paano siya nakatulong sa akin? Yung amateur radio kasi, syempre, in our club, sa PUP may club kami for amateur radio. We were able to discuss ano yung mga theory regarding radio communications, wireless radio communications. We were also had the chance to design antennas, use them in the field mismo. Sa ECE kasi, usually 'di ba, in theory lang natin nalalaman yung mga wireless communication. But if you're an amateur radio operator and we were able to practice it, iba talaga yung napapractice natin sa field. Kung iba yung nakikita natin kung paano nag-work yung mga frequencies, etc. So, I am encouraging if there are students here, not just ECE, but any student may apply or may be an amateur radio operator. If you're interested na magkaroon ng club, amateur radio club in your school para ma-practice palalo yung uh, theory nyo about radio communications, you may inquire sa REC for us to help you to establish your club. Ayan. Kasi sa amin sa PUP, meron kaming mga clubs and hindi lang exclusive sa mga ECE ang amateur radio. Sobrang various yung field namin. Marami, meron kahit nga BS Biology, meron kaming mga members na amateur radio operator. Ayan. Thank you.
Thank you po, Sir Jadi. I think we still have time for two more questions. So, do you have a specific question that you think is beneficial to our viewers? So yeah, there's a lot of questions from our YouTube and Facebook Live. Let's see.
May tanong, ano ba to? Is there a maximum age to acquire amateur license?
Ayan, sir.
So meron pong ang edad minimum po natin ay 9 years old hanggang class D po 'yan. So wala naman pong limitation o edad sa pagkuha po ng exam. Kahit po 8 years old, 17, basta kaya pa po mag-exam ay allowed po to take the amateur license examination or even the seminar. Wala pong age requirement.
Ayan, thank you so much, sir. One last question. So, Sir Jadi, Sir Lawrence, is there a question that you want to answer from our YouTube and Facebook? So, ayan. So, please don't leave yet because later on we're going to post the link for the mock exam. So, I think that's all. That's all for now. Oh, eto pala, we have a question. How long is the validity of the certificate issued by REC considering na wala pa pong schedule ang exam ng NTC? Ayan. So, sir?
Hello, yung validity ng certificate ay walang deadline, so you may use it. Lalo na ngayon, wala pang schedule ng exam. We are not sure kung kailan in this year kung kailan mag-i-start yung first na exam ulit for amateur radio. So, ayun. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. I think that concludes our question and answer. So probably some of your questions will be answered online because I think it's time for the mock exam. But before that, again, I would like to invite everyone to be a member of Radio Engineering Circle. Thank you so much, Sir Lawrence and Sir Jadi, for the very informative webinar for today. Ayan. Okay, so again, to be part of the Radio Engineering Circle, just log on to rec.org.ph/join. And I've mentioned earlier that this is the first part of the three-part series. So watch out for the two other webinars, which will be on February 21st and 28th. So on the 21st, it's about the elementary fundamentals of electronics and electricity. And on February 28th, it's about Element 4 Amateur Radio Practice. All right, we're looking forward to see you again next week and on February 28th. Ayan. So, um, again, don't leave yet and wait for the link for the mock exam.
Thank you for attending the today's webinar, ang unang webinar ng Radio Engineering Circle. And I hope that mapasa nyo mamaya yung mock exam. And I hope that maging interested pa kayo lalo to engage in amateur radio. And ayun, if you are looking for a club na gusto nyong salian and wala pa kayo nahanap, you may join Radio Engineering Circle. Ayan. And if you are interested to establish any local groups sa inyo, local clubs rather, ayan, we can help you with that. Si Radio Engineering Circle, we are a group ng different professionals and individuals who are interested in the fields of amateur radio. So, with that, magkakaroon kayo ng mga pwede nyong i-message if you have any question with amateur radio. Napakaraming mga, kumbaga, bihasa na in terms of amateur radio na pwede nyong i-message right away. So, ayun, I hope na ma-appreciate nyo kung ano yung pwedeng nyong makuha with amateur radio. You may use it for personal use. You may use it especially in times of emergency, or if gusto nyo lang talaga mag-aral kung paano nag-work yung radio communications. If you want to use it for experiments, that's good. So, ayun, I hope na soon mag-start na ang exam for amateur radio para maging part na rin kayo ng world of amateur radio. Thank you.
Sir Lawrence, any message to our viewers? Sir Lawrence, would you like to give a message to our
Hello.
attendees?
First of all, thank you, Kristine, Jaddie. First of all, maraming salamat po sa mga umattend ng first edition ng ating Amateur Radio Orientation Seminar for 2021. So meron pa tayong dalawang wag po natin kalimutan. Meron pa tayong dalawang topics pa. So thank you for listening kanina sa amin ni Jaddie. So hopefully marami kayong natutunan, especially in rules and regulations governing amateur radio service. So kung may mga katanungan po kayo, i-message nyo lang po ang FB page ng Radio Engineering Circle para po masagot po natin yan. At maya-maya po ay papadala na po sa inyo yung link ng mock examination. So Inasahan po namin na lahat po ng umatin dito ay maging isang amateur radio operator kagaya po natin. Maraming salamat po and keep safe everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Engineer Jaddie Lorzano and Mr. Lawrence Atanacio, for sharing your time and knowledge with us today. Again, thank you everyone for attending today's webinar. We are looking forward to seeing you again next week. This is your host, Kristine Bendo. Happy Valentine's Day and good luck on the exam. So, on your screen is the link for the feedback form and exam sheet. Just log on to just log on to rec.org.ph slash 2021 element 2 exam sheet. Again, to access the feedback form and the exam sheet, log on to rec.org.ph slash 2021 element 2 exam sheet. Thanks everyone.